Coming up today on the show,
Canadians can breathe a sigh of relief, Macklem says, as Bank of Canada cuts interest rates by 50 basis points.
Canada to cut immigration in 2025.
Canadian investors rush to sell real estate as losses mount.
Bank of Canada forecasts a real estate frenzy will drive GDP.
Your Airbnb property might cost you more than you think. The hidden 13% tax.
And there's gonna be a crisis. New condo construction is heading towards a cliff.
All this and more on the Canadian Real Estate Show.
Darryl, we got lots of things going on today. We actually talked this week more than we've talked in quite a while in between shows, because usually we're trying not to spoil the conversations just because we've always got so many things to talk about.
There's some good ones though, but things like the last one, we're not even going to talk about, right?
We can't put that stuff on the air.
I wish we could.
Oh,
that'd be great.
Gosh, dirty laundry.
Fuck that guy. Yeah, I love it. Love it.
But
TK.
anyways,
full circle.
You seem to be doing well. You seem to be healthy. You're drinking water. That's good.
Drinking some water mixed with my coffee.
Okay.
Coffee
and water.
Middle of
champions.
We're ready to rock and roll. We got our new attire, which I think yours is hidden by a microphone. So
okay. Well,
but you're looking sharp. I'm looking sharp, obviously, TK. And here we go. Here we are.
Got new staff on the show today.
New staff, new team.
We've hired some new people.
Look.
We've got real. Yeah, we got some real progress going on here. And I think it's because, people are like our viewers, our listeners, they inspire us.
They inspire us by telling us, you suck.
Do better.
Yeah, you guys fucking
do
are horrible.
Better. And we're like, yeah, we should do better. But guys, you get lazy, you get in a rut after 4 years. We're just kind of like, I don't even have to try that hard. I just have to show up and talk and things will work out. So you guys are challenging us and we appreciate that because we like the challenge.
We're up for the challenge. And so in order to improve the show, we got red ties and different shirts. And here we go.
This is basically all we could come up with.
That's all we have.
Who said that we were perfect? Not us.
It's not like we're the Bank of Canada and we can just, cut rates by 50 basis points, TK. We don't have this kind of power and influence, do we?
It's that time. Like, comment, and subscribe
to the channel and hit the damn bell. Remember that? Hit the bell, TK.
Check us out on Instagram, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and pretty much everywhere else that you're consuming your content today. Make sure you follow us and let us know that you followed us so that, we can share the show with more people.
That's right. Let us know so we know.
Yeah, like, comment, subscribe. I'm double subscribed. Do it yourself. Didn't get to fix the show, though.
No, but I mean... I stopped predicting interest rates. I stopped predicting. I stopped saying, oh, this is what's going to happen. Because one, I was wrong most of the time. That's the truth.
Yeah,
and two is because I knew that nobody knew what they were talking about. And that everyone would just sound it off like they did know what they were talking about. And when they were right, they would say, see, told you so. And when they were wrong, they'd say, well,
if you go back in history, I guarantee if you check on what I picked, guaranteed. If you go back and you check the tapes, I'm sure you'll find that I was wrong 100% of the time. Like, not only wrong about the rates, but then when the rates move happened, like what would ensue after, I was completely wrong about.
Again, nothing that's too surprising to me or probably anybody else that's listening right now.
Same as half the people.
Said, 50 basis points is 50 basis points.
That's big.
But scary. I mean, hey, look. Good. The reason that they're doing it
is
because probably everything's fine. There's no problems out there. They're probably thinking, look, this economy is running full steam ahead. We ain't got any issues. We should just cut rates just for the sake of it.
Well, normally when, if you look at the manual and you check out, 50 basis point cut, there's the word emergency, I think, beside it. Normally
there's a red button.
It's not, you don't want to go there. It's like you have to turn the page to make that choice rather than have, good options already on the first page.
You've tried all the other options.
Well, I mean, I guess just another quarter point cut and then another one and another one weren't deep enough to deal with what's about to come.
Well, I don't
or
really
what
know.
They see coming potentially.
I know that there's still a lot of job vacancies, right? So there's still a lot of companies and industries right now who are saying, hey, we need workers. We don't have enough workers and so forth.
Where is this?
In Canada.
Like at the $1 that they put a news article about? Or like who else is hiring? Who's hiring now?
There's lots of businesses out there who are looking for, qualified people, and they're not getting qualified people. The people who are applying are all unqualified.
Where are the qualified people?
Vacancies are still high. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts. But the unemployment rate's coming up, and that there's still a lot of people. Now, where are those people looking for jobs? What type of jobs are they looking for? How hard are they really looking for jobs? These are the type of things that I think are going to be, bigger questions that only the people looking for those jobs are going to be able to answer. But when I do go around and I do ask people and I say, hey, do you know anybody right now who's, unemployed looking for a job? I do find it hard to find somebody who's in that position. But the Bank of Canada knows something we don't know.
They know something we don't know. I mean,
information that we have not seen, heard, or felt yet.
Well, the Fed did cut by 0.5 point too, right? Which is kind of scary that they all of a sudden
got the same info.
Hey, so everybody's playing by this new playbook that says 0.5 point. You guys, so you got all these central bankers sitting in a room, shooting the shit, smoking cigars, probably, right? Drinking some fine cognac. And what do they see coming, TK? Do they what all of a sudden said, oh man, like you see, Canada's doing these pussy moves with this quarter point. This is not going to cut it from our perspective, right? Not that even Bank of Canada and the Federal Reserve of the United States are on any kind of level that's in the same ballpark, but like 0.5 point cut there, which forces, I guess, a 0.5 point cut here because we're not moving fast enough for what's about to hit the U.S. economy. What's TK?
So one, just to understand, the U.S. is less sensitive to rate fluctuations than we are. They carry their household debt is much lower than ours.
Their real estate market is less reliant on interest rates.
Their whole economy as a whole.
30 years.
So when you start doing like a quarter point with Canada, it really does go a long way. In the States, if somebody's carrying like $200,000 worth of debt, they need at least a 50 basis point cut in order to be able to actually feel anything. So, and obviously the Bank of Canada knows this. This isn't like something that just the Canadian real estate show knows.
Oh.
So obviously the Bank of Canada deciding to do 50 basis points was not because they feel like they've got the same issues as the States, but that ours are much worse.
Much worse.
Right. And so even though the stock market's at an all-time high and there's all these really obvious signs.
Yeah, that's
those type of things always precede major crashes or recessions and stuff like that. So as far as when it's going to happen, we don't know yet. But I can tell you right now, firsthand, that there is a ton of people. This week's people. I don't know if I talked about it last week or not, but they owe more money than their house is worth. Right? Did I talk about that last week?
I don't know. Maybe.
But they owe more money than their house is worth. Let's just say that much.
This is like a specific client.
We'll leave it at that.
Okay.
And then today, this week on the golf course, because sometimes I got to get out to the golf course.
Yeah.
I talked to another guy who they've got 2 townhouses in Oakville that they paid $1.6 million for, that they probably couldn't sell for more than 1.2. Yeah, because you have to buy 2, because it was just such a great opportunity to get a townhouse in Oakville at $1.6 million.
It's okay. We're never going to close on these things. We're going to,
for anybody knows,
make a fortune. It's going to be beautiful. 1.2 is even messed up. Okay.
They go for less, but a good townhouse, right? You can get for 1.2.
A good one.
So the bottom line is you got all these people who are going to have fortunes. They're going to have like life savings wiped out because of the changes in the real estate market. And it still hasn't happened yet. This guy's still waiting for these things to close.
That's right.
He hasn't realized this loss yet.
That's what I talked to Mark Morris today, and he was like it's bad and it's getting worse and people don't realize it. He goes, everybody's fucking broke. He goes, in some circles, we talk about how a quarter point, half a point, like what's the difference? It's a few $100, like it doesn't change anything. He says people are hanging on by a thread, and a quarter point can destroy somebody, right? Or save their lives right now, which is kind of horrible. But so I said to him, like, what is this person? What kind of debt is this person you're talking about holding? And he said, if you're in Toronto and you're like 30 to 40 years old, you're easily holding $1 million of debt right now. That's just crazy. And you can't. And I said, so what are their salaries? He goes, what difference does it make? I said, oh, like their parents, right? He said, yeah, everybody's got guarantors. And so this is not unraveling. And on top of it, so while mom and daddy are playing big shot, throwing money around, helping the kids buy the house.
I know the real estate game. Right? I did
they're also
years.
Going,
I know this game.
My buddy Morty called me last week and he said, if I buy 2 of these, we can flip them in the next 12 months. No problem. Boom. Right. So now they're hanging on to 2 townhouses in Oakville. Right. But they're side by side. This is a great steal. You could. But this is on top of, and these are the things like you're saying, these haven't closed yet. These are coming down the pipe. These were like, there was a bunch of real dummies still even at the end. Now, maybe townhouses, no, but condos.
Oh, condos. Listen, the condo one, like the condo people, I understand because they're like, it's 5 years away. Every 5 years, the market goes up X%, and this performance says it's going to go up X%. This is a no-brainer, like the history was there. But the townhouse people, they were paying these huge premiums over resale, and they're like, it's going to be ready in 6 months.
But that's the thing. They can't be closing now. Right, but they can't be closing now.
Delayed. The ones that were closing on time already got screwed. The delayed ones are for other reasons. You know how things get delayed? It's out of the builder's hands. He doesn't know what he can do when the city's going to approve. He doesn't know. There's some water line issues. The main line's just not long enough.
They had to sell the site, like get somebody else to do it, buy back their unit a second time, and now they have to close on this new fucking thing.
Yeah. Well, the Bank of Canada feels like the rates.
Well done.
Well, the Bank of Canada feels like the rates will drive a significant amount of buyers back into the market, which I'm not going to say it's been a slow month. It's been a decent month in the month of October. Nothing like crazy to write home about, but it's been a busy
What do you
month.
mean? Last week you said you beat
it's
your
my busiest month. It's my busiest.
But you said your team beat the whole
team beat last year's numbers. Yes.
Last week.
But if I'm looking overall as a market.
Overall? Oh.
Yeah, I'm not going to say
that's what I said. Are you guys
in October was the greatest month of the Toronto real estate board history of all of October's. No, it was a good month. But what I'm just trying to get at, Darryl, is that there are more buyers in the market. But the Bank of Canada is hoping that those buyers and that increased amount of demand will lead to growth within GDP. Because I got a client who owns a very established furniture warehouse, big furniture company. Well known. You know it. We've talked about them before. And it's like on the brink of closing its doors after many, many decades.
Sure.
Okay. Nobody's buying houses, so they're not buying furniture. There's a whole bunch of industries connected to the real estate market. And when the real estate sales start to pick up, it spurs spending. And that's what's going to be able to drive up the GDP is how reliant we are on real estate and residential sales.
Yeah. Well, it's so ridiculously huge. It's crazy. They say it's 25, 24, 26% of the economy, but it's got to be more than that. Like, what else does anybody do? Yeah.
It's hard to calculate the gas I used in order to be able to go drive clients around. And
how many gas station attendants?
But, that gas was being used, so how many guys in Alberta am I, employing?
That's a great question. I wonder how things are out in Alberta these days.
Well, we got one of our newest members of the Canadian Real Estate Show team, Kip Conaghan. Kip, we're going live to you. Kip Conaghan here. Gentlemen, I got something to report. I'm here now live in our Calgary studio. And let me tell you right now, luxury buyers are moving to Calgary. We had 89,000 people move from Ontario alone, coming all the way to Alberta in order to live here in the great free province, soon to be country of Alberta. Now, there was 337 homes sold over $1 million. Do you know what that means? We got luxury. $4 million properties. Two sales. Now remember, folks, if it ain't on the news, it probably ain't true.
Thank you, Mr. Kip Conahan, for that comprehensive and well thought out, well-rounded report from out west in Calgary. See, you guys have been asking for more Canada-wide content, and there you have it. There you go. What do you think about that, Mr. TK?
Well, he's a handsome guy, our new associate.
Handsome, Kip. That's for sure.
But I mean, you know, luxury in Calgary over $1 million.
Yeah, like really, what is luxury?
Yeah. There was 0 sales in September over $4 million.
Like, what are they doing out there?
I mean, you know, good for them. I think it was 1 sale in October, 1 sale in or 2 sales in September, and maybe 0 before that. But whatever the numbers are, they're low. Well, and guess where all that money's coming from?
Well, that's the thing. This is the real stare. Yeah.
Because I'm telling you right now, the people of Alberta, I've talked to those people, all right? They're no fools. They're no fools. They know
it's dropping
up and
soon,
down this.
Right?
They know this real estate market. They've seen it before. They're familiar, you know? They know the ups and downs of the oil and the natural gas prices and how the market is completely tied directly to it. And so they're very cautious. When they see a bunch of Ontario people moving in, paying over $1 million for houses and a few suckers paying over $4 million, they laugh, they wait, and they enjoy what they're watching. Are you a real estate agent and you're looking to make a change? Anywhere in Ontario, guess what? We're hiring. Frankly & Associates, #1 team in the GTA for all RE/MAX teams, #1 team for all teams from all companies for number of units sold throughout Toronto. So if you're looking to make a change, best decision I ever made was to join Frankly & Associates. Go to jointeamleo.com and we can set up a call.
Yeah, I wonder what that $4 million house looked like. It was probably a shack somewhere that they just put a stupid price tag on, and some dummy from Vancouver was like, "Oh, I heard Calgary's
like 20,000 square feet. It must be the best house ever."
Maybe it's a big, nice, beautiful house.
And it was like some professional athlete or something.
For $4 million bucks. So in Toronto, it'd be like $25 million bucks, $40 million bucks, and out there it's $4 million. See, that's what, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the reason. And it's the same thing. You spend $1 million bucks. So you come here, you look around, you got $1 million bucks to spend. Like we were even just saying before, you're 30 to 40 years old and you're going to take on $1 million of debt, which means you need another $200,000-$300,000 at least to get a house, right? And then you're fucking choking yourself to death for the rest of your life with a $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 a month payment, right? Instead, you go to Calgary and you spend $600,000, right? And you're still raising the average price over there. You get a beautiful, like 4,000 square foot home with everything, 15 feet ceilings in the foyer, right? Like beautiful. Everything's great. But you're in Calgary.
Yeah, but Calgary is not so bad. You know, I think people,
I mean, it must not be
so bad. It did snow there this week. I saw somebody on social media posting snow pictures. There were snow pictures in Calgary. Wow. But either way,
lose half of our
Calgary's a nice place. The people are nice, and they have the Stampede.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's
good. Hopefully we made the few people from Calgary happy. There you go. TK, what else do we have to talk about? Thanks, Kip. That was wonderful. You did a great job.
That was our new Coast to Coast section with Kip Conahan.
Coast to Coast with Kip Conahan. I love it, TK. We're going places, baby. We are going places. So what about the immigration, TK? Now, this is a fucking wormhole to go down.
Immigrants.
Okay.
Jeez.
Canada to cut immigration by 20% in 2025. Now, if you get into the meat and the potatoes of this article, your head will fucking spin and you will likely throw up and be really nauseous because it's just a bunch of nonsense, and they take bits and pieces for, okay, so we're going to cut down the immigration, this immigration, but we're really going to like move it over to this column over here. We're going to call it something different. And, you know, we're going to count less of the people that are already here. Like, it's all these numbers are so fictitious and so messed up and so crazy. And so what they're doing, though, is they're reducing the amount of people that come in one little segment of immigration by
residents. Okay, so the permanent residents are going down. So they're 395,000 target in 2025 is down from the 485,000 target for 2024.
But it was a blown up bullshit target.
500,000. Now it's down 395. Darryl, that's a good thing. They're going all the way down to 365.
It's not. It's on top of the people that are here. We're already way behind. There's so many people everywhere, TK. It's insanity.
I understand.
Okay. So now they're reducing blown up fictitious targets, right? That are made up of numbers of like just like shell game stuff, like moving it here and calling it this and moving it there. And how many people are really actually coming into this place? How many people are?
Here's the breakdown. Okay. So immigration category for 2025, 395,000 people, total PR, right? That's the total permanent residents. French speaking, 8.5%, right? So 29,000.
That's what we're bringing in. We're bringing in more people that speak French.
They're increasing the French speaking.
You see,
outside of Quebec,
guys can't do anything smart. This is so dumb.
The French people, they don't want to go anywhere but Quebec. But anyways, they're coming in. Economic immigration, 215, so 232,000. Family reunification, 94,000. Refugees, 68,000. So I feel like they got their priorities straight, right? Okay. I feel like, you know, more French people. Yeah, it's a French bilingual country. You got to support the French people.
From where?
8.5%. I think that's reasonable, considering that the French.
Do they have money? Can they buy houses?
A quarter of the population. We're only
this
letting
should be the whole thing.
More.
They should all just have to be able to afford a house. Like, you want to come to Canada?
Economic immigration is the biggest number.
But that they're reducing.
No, they're increasing.
They're increasing that one?
Yeah.
Are they? Are you sure?
I think is reducing immigration overall. It's increasing the proportion of focus on economic immigration.
Ooh, so people with money, they're going to bring more of that.
That was right in the article.
It's still not enough. Was that in there?
Now, they're also, it's okay. Now they're also trying to increase the federal high-skilled economic immigration, right? That's the people that we want.
So smart, but it's like you already fucked up the country, right? Like,
we need that, but that's the thing. So what the big complaint
part of the solution.
This is the complaint. This is why this is happening, because we have an election coming.
Who's complaining?
Everyone's complaining, which we've talked about on this show, that the companies are taking advantage of the programs, which is to hire foreign workers instead of Canadians.
Well, they're complaining because it's happening.
Okay, that's what's happening. And even Trudeau said, hey, you know what? These companies are taking advantage, and you know, we need to hire more Canadians, which is what he's supposed to say. Bottom line is this. They're trying to make it appealing for people to say, hey guys, we're going to stop hiring all those useless people coming to the country who don't know anything, and we're going to get more of the people who are going to actually do the jobs that we need to do. Does that not make sense? I'm not saying they're going to achieve.
It makes sense. Yes. Okay. If you said it 4 years ago, and this has been the policy the whole time.
But I still feel like it's going to be something that they're going to have, you know, some support from. And it's all, you know, Poilievre didn't like it, right? Because obviously this is like what he's been harping on. And so now when the liberal government starts to do it.
Oh, now you like it because it's his idea.
Well, you guys already screwed it up. So, you know, it's too late now, right?
It's too late now. Well, that's a good point, TK. And that's how I was being, right? Like, it's too little too late. You go fuck yourself. But actually, I mean, something does have to change. So, and those are the solutions. So that's good. But TK, I think we've seen in the past.
Let's talk about the temporary workers quickly here, just while I'm on the article. So then we can move on, okay?
Well, you don't.
This year's plan also includes targets for temporary resident admissions. In previous plans, there were no targets for temporary
residents. Those are crashed. No, right? Yeah. Why would you? They're just coming to learn.
Just temporary. Just let them come in. Yeah. So now we got a cap of 673,000 total temporary resident
per year.
People. Per year.
Holy jumping!
That's a lot of new people still.
That's a lot of fucking people.
Yeah. Go ahead, Darryl. Finish your thought. My apologies.
Finish my thought. Like I planned it out and knew what was about to fly out of my mouth. Like it's so gone, and I have no idea what it was.
But there's lots of stuff.
I bet you it was really
for
smart.
Schools. Yeah, provincial measures for schools, less temporary workers, fewer study permits.
I feel like
fewer spousal open work permits. So there's
like
a lot of things like that are going to change.
I feel like this is not going to make a difference and not going to fix the problem, because I think the problem right now is being maybe hidden by the fact that there's so many people and everything's so mixed up right now, and everything's kind of down, right? Because I don't think people realize how short we are on housing, because sentiment is down and people aren't buying. And it's not because there isn't the demand. And I know that sounds really stupid, but I think it's true, because I know that there are people that are just waiting to buy all over the place. Like literally everybody still wants to buy real estate, still wants it to be a great working, beautiful thing. And it's just like a matter of time before they're right. And I don't know if I told you this, but because my property in Forest Hill is so top notch, everybody in the world wants to work on it, obviously, because it's like high profile. And so I get to have meetings with some pretty like successful people in their fields right now, which normally may not have been the case, but now here we are.
And they're lining up at your door.
They're lining up at my door. And we can get into those stories later, because they're really funny. They're how they started and where they ended. But for now, TK.
Yes.
Apparently, really, really wealthy people, right? When interest rates start going up, okay, and this is from somebody who sells a lot of wealthy people real estate, okay? And so he knows the patterns that they shop by, because generally, like we talked about last week, I mean, if you're buying a $15 million house, you're not worried about the interest rate for your mortgage, because you're buying the thing cash, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you're just that fucking rich at that point. And if you're taking a $7 million mortgage, then you're fucked at some point, right? We agreed to that. That's basically the case. So what he noticed is that when interest rates start going up, they stop buying, they freeze up, it's over, no more, right? Because they know what's going to happen, right? They just, this is not a good time to buy now, right? But then when rates start cutting, right? So when rates are going up or rates are neutral, and they're just waiting. But what he said is, like, when rates start cutting, maybe not the minute they start cutting, these are not stupid people, but when the trend is definitely cut, they get their asses off the fence and they start shopping again, right? Now, this shopping process is not like, next week we're buying a $24 million house, right? But it's like we're going to start browsing and checking things out and seeing what's happening. And so now all of a sudden, with that big, wonderful 50 basis point hike, emergency hike, right? His phone's ringing off the hook, man. Right?
So he says.
And because he's number one, he is a wonderful, wonderful actor.
Everyone's number one. I'm number one. Everyone's number one.
Well, you really are number one, TK.
Everybody's number one.
You're the number one realtor on this show. That's on this for show, sure.
Big time. I'm the only one, but I'm number one.
You're number one.
Yeah. I mean, look, there's always a story. There's always a spin. I mean, look, if there's people right now who are listening to the show who want to buy, $20 million pieces of real estate and they're excited about the market, then, reach out. My information's in the bottom.
That's right.
But I don't think there's many people out there buying $20 million pieces of real estate, Darryl.
Well,
even though that person said there was, I don't think that's something that's going to be happening too often right now in this market.
Well, so what is actually moving, and I know this for a fact, is still the high-end luxury condos, right?
Yeah.
If they're in great areas. I mean, everybody's condos high-end, right? But like the real ones, there are very few, like very
large units, luxury amenities,
great area,
exclusive buildings, great areas.
By the right guy,
There's only so many of those to go around.
And what's happened is, like, they're achieving sales and they're getting construction financing and they're moving forward at some pretty crazy numbers, which is just wonderful.
Salivating.
Salvation. Oh, TK, if you saw that email I just got, you would just be smiling from ear to ear, which you will be after we're finished.
When it's all said and done.
What else do we got going on here? Did we kill the immigration segment? Are we done with that?
I think so. I think people know about it, and it's like, welcomed. Nobody's against immigration. This isn't anti-immigration. This is just responsible immigration.
Yeah, don't be so dumb with it.
Responsible immigration.
Doing?
Because there's a lot of hate going on in the world.
Quick, get in, quick, go.
You know what? I'm gonna say something here. Okay, there's a lot of hate in the world that I've been hearing, because Canada has had a high number of Indian immigrants, and I've been hearing it all over. I see it on social media. I hear it in the news. I hear people's tones. People share it sometimes with me.
Even Indians are pissed off at Indians.
They're saying it, but they share it with me like I'm all for it or something like that. Like the Irish at one point were immigrants that were, cast aside as being less than, and their accents and the way they talked and the way they did things were made fun of. So everybody has that transition, and I'll say this in the most I don't know, not racist way I can possibly say it, but thank God for assimilation, right? Because at the end of the day, it does work better when a country is working, as one, and we're all, sharing the same values and stuff. And as generations grow,
even the French
values. Well, the French, they're not about assimilation at all. They learned their lesson a long time ago. But, things change. The next thing you know, we'll all just be Canadian again. And no one will be talking about separating this person and that person and stuff. We're all Canadian, man. Who's Canadian? If you're born here, you're Canadian. If you had a passport, are you Canadian? Like, to me, if you've been here and you got PR and you stay here, you live here, you're Canadian.
If you've laid one brick or put up one 2x4, you should be considered Canadian.
You're Canadian.
You're Canadian. Cares, but you need money. Like these broke ass Canadians that are burning flags because somebody paid them $30 to do it for the camera or whatever the fuck's going on here.
Those guys
got why these fuckers are so angry. We're not going to get into that again. Yeah, they should just leave. So I would say we are done with that segment of the show, and we can talk about something.
We don't have to be so structured, Darryl. We don't have to be like, no, we are done. That's
I just want to make move on to the next that segment. The editor
Where are we now in the show?
Right? Well, listen, when we're handing over the editing reins, they can't read into my head, TK.
It's all just one big flow. It's all just one flow here.
One big flow. Speaking of one big flow and synergies that just have to be all working so symbiotically. I don't know if any of that was something, but TK,
spit it out.
I have an update for us on that. Do you remember, what was it called? Spadina Gardens tenants worry over unprecedented floating tower addition. The city approved that fucking thing.
Absolutely insanity, that thing. Not to mention it's being on top of a building, a heritage building.
But they're going to keep
who's
the tenants.
Engineered that thing? But they engineered that thing, and why?
Listen, I've seen some stuff. I don't know if it's. I don't think you have to be Dutch.
No, it was a European company.
Maybe it was, but I don't think it's necessary for the story that they're from somewhere else. It's a
you can just imagine how you put together your IKEA furniture and just understand how this building is going to be built.
Well, what's crazy, the building being built is one thing, but keeping the tenants in the building while you're doing it. This is the real story, TK.
I love it.
Because they've put buildings on top of buildings for a long time, and they've done crazy engineering.
They've been trying to get the tenants out. So this is just a play, because what the tenants are saying is we haven't even heard from them on how they're going to keep us safe. Like, we don't even know what the plan is on how this thing is actually going to happen without us dying.
Well, that's okay. We'll provide a construction management plan with our application.
Bells and whistles.
They got approved, TK. It's approved. They're allowed to do this. So they could start doing it right now. And they're not saying, hey, you guys can stay. It's okay. You can stay. Don't worry about it.
We got some I-beams coming in.
It's going to be okay.
We got some cement trucks.
Just ignore that steel welders, beam, the crane, and the guy with the blowtorch.
Dropped a tool. Those guys are going to be so well received for all the protests every single day.
Can you imagine? It's like 7 o'clock at night.
These guys
fucking clanging away above you.
These guys in Europe who are sitting around a table right now are sitting there going, and they're speaking in Finnish accents, but they're in Germany.
Oh, the
probably
owners
talking Swedish. All right.
The owners of the building are Swedish. Okay,
and they're sitting there right now in their European desk, which is probably made out of some sort of, really expensive wood that you can't find.
That's right. They're smoking cigars and drinking bourbon.
The chairs were put together, in pieces in a manual, and there was like 3 pieces missing because that's what happens when you buy IKEA. But I digress. And they were sitting there going like, how do we get rid of these tenants? Why won't they just agree to leave? Every time we've ever built a building in Reykjavik, those people just left. But what they didn't know is that there was a 30-year legacy tenant organizing the troops, leading the pack in order for them to not be reno-evicted. And they didn't know who they were facing. They didn't know what they were dealing with.
Martha and Karen,
they
right?
Did not know the Karen-hood of Ontario tenants.
These are knighted Karens.
So what they said was, second. We're just going to build it then. If they won't leave, we'll just build it. They're not going to build it, Darryl.
Listen, I know I've come up with some zany ideas in the past, and you've debunked them. Do you understand how much money they had to spend to get that approved?
Sure. Hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Bullshit. Hundreds of thousands. You're over $1 million for sure. Okay. So like that's a
1 million.
Well, I mean, if you're sitting there and you're the guys that own IKEA and it's just a joke and you're just trying to get these fuckers out, you want to win.
Very expensive cigars, so maybe $1 million. Okay.
Well, I'm just saying that they're in an alternate universe that may not be what's going on. They may actually look. We've seen it. I've been in a building on Avenue or University. We talked about it where they fucking kept the commercial tenants. Different story, but they did it. And they proved that it can be done, I guess. So, but like, how can, honestly, like, let's get serious. We're shutting off
the water again today. We're shutting off the power again today.
How can the city allow it though?
The heat today.
No, but seriously,
that's what they'll do. Trust me.
But how does the city allow this shit?
The city has approved it based on certain criteria. And obviously there's going to have to be engineer drawings and all sorts of stuff that's going to be there to reinforce the stability of the structure. But they don't even need to do it, because as long as they think the tenants think they're going to do it, people are going to go.
But what do you think's happening? They can't just kick people out. Like, it doesn't just work like that.
They'll get them to leave. People are
if
scared
they
for their
leave
lives. Yeah.
Now that you've put in a demolition application, you've got rental replacement issues. Like, I'm telling you, this is a they're building this thing on top of these people, TK. We're going to be talking about this in a year from now.
No, it's a heritage building, so they can't tear it down.
No, but they're doing this project. Yeah. It was a lot of effort to get this thing approved. I promise you. Like, it wasn't a bluff.
I'm wrong often.
Well, maybe you're right.
But the good news is this.
I think you're wrong.
For Karens and all the other people who are in that building right now, our hearts go out to you. We hope that you win this fight and that you have a place to live forever at 50% of what the market rent should be. Now, the good news is that we've got a whole bunch of other buildings that are supposed to be condos that are going to be converted into rental housing now.
Ooh, what a segue, TK. Right? That was wonderful.
You're going to have a place to live.
You did it.
At $4 a square foot.
Hey, guess what the new 4 is, TK, nowadays?
5?
It's 5. I'm telling you.
It's 5. Okay.
You do not see
$5 a square foot. You can move into a lot of different projects coming to a neighborhood near you.
Yeah, like lots of neighborhoods, and basically anywhere you have to pay 5 for a new place.
Yeah,
a new place. Now, I don't know what people are doing in old places, but I don't know if this helps, but we got this article that says 6,800 new condo units changed to rental, canceled, or in receivership since 2022. And so if we dig into this, I think about 1,000 or 1,100 of these, they went from being condo submissions to purpose-built rental submissions. And so
third quarter alone.
I mean, that's good on one hand,
3 projects.
It's not good for purchasers or people looking to buy, but it's good for renters.
Nobody wants them. Yeah,
nobody wants them, so that's good, and that's why they did it. Obviously,
2,000 units put on hold, canceled, or placed in a receivership. That's just what we know about.
That's just what we know about so far.
Because it's saying placed on hold, so it means like it was like a decision was made.
Like somebody knew about it,
who don't even know what they're doing yet. who are still twiddling their thumbs trying to figure out an escape plan, and they haven't figured it out yet, so they don't know what they're going to
do. Yeah. They've got floors of people running different performas and like remodeling all kinds of stuff on their land to see if there is a way to actually make money on this thing, or what the hell are we going to do? Because nobody's buying anything zoned now, right? Nothing. And they're just hoping to spur on demand. I see crazy incentives now. So hold on a sec. So we jumped around a little bit because there was also like, all the developers were complaining that there's going to be a glut in the system, which I've talked about. We've talked about developer talk, but I mean,
that's real estate agents, guys. Right now, the prices are low. You gotta buy now, because once rates go down, then everyone's gonna rush back in and buy. The prices, man, they're gonna be driving prices up.
Sounds like realtor talk, not developer talk. That's realtor talk.
Developer talk is, well, with all the shortage in housing that we've had over the last few years, and now with the further restraint on building new housing due to the instability in the pre-construction condo market, 5 years from now, imagine how many more units we're going to need. We were short before. You guys should.
Well, that's part of it. But then if you actually
more units now.
But now there's okay. So if you look at the data and you say, okay, we have this many sales, this many starts. These starts will lead to completions. Right. And then the cycle goes on again, because this is the cycle, right? Sales, starts, completion. Right. So it makes sense. Everybody following me so far? TK, you on board? Here we go. Well, if the sales don't happen, then the starts, unless you can figure out a way to build rental.
Developer talk. Okay.
What?
You don't even know you're doing it.
Don't even know you're doing what?
Developer talk in the circle, the sales starts completion circle, doing the developer talk.
But that's how it works.
Once the sales stop,
the starts don't happen and the completions can't happen.
I get it.
So what happens when there's 4,000 units being completed?
Then people don't buy so many rental properties, because 80% of the people who are buying them are investors anyways. And so all those same tenants who would have moved into those projects will all be moving into these other projects that are being slated for purpose-built rentals.
But the investors
might even get more units built because of this.
But if there's
developer,
if there's limited supply and there's investors that are willing to buy again, and there's people willing to buy because our rates are back down to 2 something, which is possible, right? And there's nothing to buy out there, then what happens? Right? It's like
they put their money somewhere else. They invested in their business. They invested into the stock markets.
Wouldn't that be great? Investing into the businesses.
It's just the amount of people who should not be in real estate investment is greater than the amount of people who should be.
That's right.
And so it was just because of a really good run. I've met so many people who have got paid off houses that they bought 20, 30 years ago, and that, will give you lots of advice on real estate investment and don't know the first thing about it. They don't know the first thing about it, honestly. And their rents are super low because they're just like, well, he's been there for 15 years. I never raised the rent once because he never actually called me to come over and change any light bulbs or anything, And I'm like, well, that's it's so nice of you. And you appreciated the person who was there. And
you fucked up everything though.
But like now you want me to sell the home with this tenant in there who's paying $800 a month, but you want the same price as the guy who's able to give vacant possession, or he's collecting $2,500 a month. Right?
That's right.
They don't understand. They really don't understand. That's the truth.
Well, it's hard to understand, right? Because it's not
your real estate investor.
Yes.
Maybe there should be some sort of course. If you're going to buy a second property in your name, you should have to pass some sort of basic training or something. Have a license to buy a second investment property.
You should
I don't know if that's
shouldn't be allowed to do it.
But just something to at least
shouldn't be allowed to do it.
Protect the people who don't need to be real estate investors. And there's horrible landlords out there too. I got a friend right now. They've got a landlord where they are they got pets and all sorts of stuff. The place is maybe not that well taken care of. I think they've been there for 5-6 years. And the landlord's basically saying, oh, get out. I want to renovate the unit. You've ruined my unit. You're paying too low rent, and just totally harassing them, And the landlord just they don't understand the rules. They don't understand the law. And the tenant, of course, doesn't understand the rules, doesn't understand the law. They think, oh my God, I'm going to have to leave. There's so much contradiction, right?
This is when people get killed.
People shouldn't be landlords.
They shouldn't be. And they shouldn't be investors either. Yeah. They should be forced into investment pools that build purpose-built rentals that are managed by proper companies and given a A bond.
Yeah.
Right? Like make it an investment grade bond.
It's genius. Why didn't you mention this before?
I keep mentioning it and it doesn't catch on, and I don't have a product to do it on it.
Because you know what you do is you can't triple your money in 3 years. That's how stupid people are.
Right.
They want this an incredible return that their friend back in 2013 got on their purpose-built on their pre-construction condo, and they're waiting around thinking that this is going to be the thing that saves them and erases all their bad money spending habits and poor investments that they've made in the past. You need to get people who are just like, hey, you know what? I'm making a 15% return, 20% return, whatever the market conditions are, 8% return, 11% return. You know, okay, one deal made 25, 30, 40%, whatever it was, because it was this incredible deal, but you know, it's a one-off. Like that's an incredible portfolio of any investor who's been in the game for decades, you know, would be able to achieve. But people are like, no, I didn't double my money in 2 or 3 years. Yeah, of course that's not going to last very long. I bet you how many people made money in pre-construction, kept on going, got drunk off the profits, so they kept reinvesting it, and now we're about to lose most of them because they stayed in the game too long.
Oh, that's the worst. That's the worst.
Like they crushed it. And then, so let's talk about this, okay?
But did they crush anything?
Two things. One, on the pre-construction side, all these changes that happen, right? So as a assignment now, it's taxable, right? And it's considered like business income, right? So when you've got you know, the money that you make is going to be 100% taxable. It's not capital gains. Then you've also got HST that you've got an implication in when you're flipping an assignment as well too. So now that the whole assignment game is done. There's nobody assigning assignment. Mark Morris uses the word, the assignment market is completely illiquid. That is the truth. Nobody is buying assignments. So they really screwed up that market, the government. Now Airbnbs with this new court ruling are subject to HST because you're selling a commercial property, and that there's going to be a rule. I've got I put it in the file for you to see. There's a rule. So basically it says
looking at it.
Yeah, so 13% on your sale price.
Yeah.
It's not the tax implications kick in when your property is used consistently for short-term rentals. Rentals are less than 28 consecutive days. Property is furnished with utilities included. Your operation resembles a hotel-like business model. Understanding the 90% threshold is crucial. While exact calculation methods are clear, benchmark helps determine whether property is subject.
What's the 90%
threshold of short-term versus long-term rental usage? You could be facing the full HST implications. So
what
90%, 90% long-term rental.
So what if it's rented?
Rental.
If it's rented for 90% of the time?
Yeah, but you just had like some, you know, short-term rentals here and there, then you're okay. But if you're mainly going to be a short-term rental, then this is what it is, right? Long-term rentals to stay under the 90% threshold.
So all that's going to do is raise the price because the guy's just going to want the 13% like added into the price, so he doesn't have to eat. So
I think I'm wrong on that. Consider mixing in longer-term rentals to stay under the 90% threshold, meaning 90% under of short-term rentals.
Short-term.
Yeah. So if you're 100% short-term rentals, all under 28 days, it's considered a hotel.
Percentage of what though? Because it's like it's vacant half the time if you're doing short-term rental, right?
Percentage of your actual contracts that you've got, right? But the CRA is cracking down on it.
So fucking they just saying all kinds of stuff and leaking it out into articles, and people are just writing articles based on like little bits and pieces. Nothing's been thought out. Nobody's.
I've been hearing about this for a few months. People have been talking about this for a few months. That people were talking about the Airbnb commercial as a commercial.
Something happened in Vancouver, I think, first, right? Didn't something happen out in Vancouver? Do we have somebody we can check in with in Vancouver?
Right now we don't, but maybe next week.
Kip in Vancouver? Maybe we should send Kip out to Vancouver next week.
In Vancouver next week.
We'll check out what happened.
He kind of marches to the beat of his own drum. You know what I mean?
Oh, does he? Okay, he looks like he definitely marches to some different beat. That's for sure. Maybe Duran. Something. TK, I think I have no idea if we've gone overtime, undertime, if we've talked about anything. Do we still have time?
Yeah.
Is that possible?
Yeah, we still got 15 minutes.
No.
Yeah.
Are you fucking for real?
Yeah.
I got to go another 15 minutes here?
Talking to me? Okay, here we go. Ready? This is my favorite one because
has it really only been
my
45?
whole job, Darryl, is to disagree with you. That is basically the premise of this show.
That's
is
right.
Prove Darryl wrong. So let's talk about the bike lanes, buddy. Let's talk about the bike lanes.
Oh, right. Yes, I saw this article.
I'm telling you.
Genius. Oh,
listen, I'm telling you,
those
bike lanes, they will reduce traffic because more people will use them.
This is how it is. Can you fucking believe this article? What was the headline? What was it called? Where is
it? Here's what the research says. Do bike lanes cause more traffic congestion?
That's right. Do bike lanes really cause more traffic congestion? Here's what they've done research,
Darryl. They've done research before.
This is such woke planted bullshit like I've never seen in my life. Well, if you include, what's the word they made up here? What is it? Some kind of bullshit induced. What is it? Slightly.
Induced demand.
Induced demand, right? What is it? It's induced. Something called induced demand. Thanks to something called induced demand. So they've induced demand for what? More fucking traffic because they cut out one of the lanes?
They go, there's lots of...
It's like an induction.
There were studies. I'm pretty sure it was in Seattle. Don't get Seattle. It's in that part of the States, that northwestern part. Pretty sure it's Seattle.
Can Kip cross borders,
where they reduced, they got rid of some of their highways.
Okay.
They got rid of highways. They said traffic is crazy. Here. They got rid of highways to reduce traffic.
Sounds ingenious.
And so everyone said, hey, there's less highways now out there, guys. Yeah. I'm going to take the bus. I'm going to ride my bike. And all of a sudden, their traffic had, I don't know. I'm not sure what happened.
Tripled.
But they bought, I don't know what happened, but apparently they had less traffic and it was the right move. And they never went back to adding those highways. So listen,
this sounds counterintuitive to me.
Traffic is based off of what people perceive as being available to them. I'm not saying I agree with this. I'm just giving you the other side.
This is so
the other side
dumb.
Is by having bike lanes, it makes people feel safe and that they want to go out and use bike lanes. I don't want bike lanes on any of the roads that I'm driving on.
Oh,
okay.
God.
But we have to understand that bike lanes could, in fact, create an opportunity for people to ride their bikes, drive their car.
I'm sitting in my car the other day and I'm at an intersection, and through the intersection on one of those like e-scooter things, like they're powered, but you stand up on them. You know, our kids used to like a skateboard used to be.
Now it's powered. They got lazy.
Powered, and those things are ripping and they're in the bike lane. And I'm like, is this it's like a motorcycle going in the bike lane? And are bike lanes for motorcycles now? Are they for powered vehicles, the bike lanes now? Or are the lines just so blurred now that you could do whatever you want in them?
I identify as a pedal bike.
Do you have listen?
I identify as a pedestrian, and I'm going to ride my dirt bike on the sidewalk.
TK. Not only have they fucked up Eglinton, okay, for the last 12 years with this crosstown LRT nonsense that somehow still isn't open because the trains don't match the size of the tracks, okay? But that aside, on top of that fucking horseshit, they made bike lanes everywhere on Eglinton. So, like, you couldn't move because of all the cones of traffic. And then on top of the traffic cones, you got bike lanes.
Okay. So here's a funny part here. So in Copenhagen, right, they had this huge amount of bike lanes created in 2007 that everyone started using the bike lanes, and that it, reduced traffic like immensely. And everyone was just like, yay for bike lanes. But then there was bicycle congestion. So they had to add more bike corridors. Oh my gosh.
Hell? There must have been some kind of incentive.
There's a limit to the bike safety and traffic reduction. So we got to make sure we don't add too many bike lanes. Okay, guys? It's just a few here and there.
And like on top of it, if you most people aren't developers, so they don't realize, like, I'm fighting for space in these buildings, because of bike spaces and bicycle repair station space. Okay.
Yeah.
And listen, do people need places to put their bikes? technically, yes. I think most people use the balconies for that. That's a whole other discussion, TK.
Yeah.
But of course, people need places to put their bikes. Do they need to be dedicated and forced by the city officials? Or should this just be something you do in order to attract maybe a particular type of clientele? Or maybe it's a feature that sets you apart from other places and you think this is a great use of space. Or perhaps, TK, you could use the space for something that will be used by people and not just forced to do it, because this is fucking nuts. We got to lose half of our driving lanes. TK, there are people that will not have the sufficient locker space that they require, or they will not have enough parking, TK, or maybe there won't be enough room for the waste removal facilities, or possibly, like, there's so many things that could go wrong because of this, but they don't care. They just want to make sure that there's 17 bikes to every person in the building.
I'm sure it's not that many. And I'm sure that whatever costs you'll incur for adding a bike repair station and some additional bike.
Oh, I'm passing those on, TK. I'm passing those on. And this is why we can't have affordable housing.
You'll do fine. You'll do just fine.
TK. But it's things like this, but I'm not kidding. Like, if you look at a building, mine's 24 units, okay? So I only have to have 72 bike spaces in my building. But imagine if I was building 450 units. Like, there must be bikes hanging from everywhere, TK, with the requirements.
So the last one I sold recently.
But you don't need any, zero. You can build a 400 unit building with zero car parking. Yeah. But you need to have 8,000 bicycle spots. So
I just saw one at Yonge and Eglinton, and the parking spot has the bike rack in it. And so your parking spot, inside your parking spot, you just have your bike and you kind of like walk it up the wall. So like both wheels are touching the wall and you lock it in.
What if you don't have a space? What if you couldn't afford a space?
Well, I guess you don't get a bike spot either. I don't know.
No, but the way it works is you do. You get 8. You get 8. If you live in the building, you have 8 bicycle spots.
Chain them all together, and so now you got 16 if you want.
See, this is where all the shared bicycle, like, you know, the what's it called? The bike share things. They should be in the buildings, using up all the empty spaces from all the forced bicycle parking that they force on the developers that don't get used. I should do a whole series on this and just go check the bicycle parking spaces in downtown Toronto.
So if you go and look at most condos, bicycle places, and you look at those bikes, they've been there for years.
It's the same guy, right? He died. He died.
Like
he left
the bike. They're dusty. They're dirty. They're old, crappy bikes. You're just like, what is this? This is like a bicycle graveyard. What's going on here? So that's why it's better to have individual spots at your parking spot so that everybody's got the spot that, you know, whose bike it is, right?
I can't believe how much time and effort we even have to put into bikes on this show.
Yeah.
But it's crazy.
But biking's good. So first of all, let's go pro cycling here for a bit. Cycling is good for your knees. It's better than running. It's it's a great endurance sport where you can get a lot of aerobic fitness out of it, and you can go on long journeys. It's a lot of fun. You can see a lot of places as you ride around. You know, you spend an hour on a bike, you get to see a lot of scenery and stuff like that. It's a lot of fun. If you're listening to the show and you haven't been on a bike for a little while, then, you know, give it a shot. Just like stay off of the busy streets like Danforth and Bloor and Eglinton and all those places. Like, that's not where bikes belong. Go down in the woods, go down in the trails,
right?
Drive your bike up north and drive around in cottage country.
Like,
those
we literally,
you should ride a bike.
We added bike lanes for all the dicks carrying packages around on bikes, because who else is riding bikes around downtown during the day, for fuck's sakes?
You know what? If those guys are bringing me a package or food, then I wouldn't call them dicks. I'd say, kudos to you for
kudos to you for
braving the traffic and
the frontier, being on the front lines.
You know, you did it. You're my buddy. I hope no one steals your bike while it's downstairs and you're delivering my food upstairs.
I think you deserve to lose your bike if you fought for these goddamn bike lanes.
I don't approve.
Because you ruined everything.
I don't approve of this message.
TK does not approve of this message. Well, TK, what else you got on your docket over there, mister?
I'll just give you a little boots on the ground here at the end of the show for people who are still listening, okay?
That's good. little bit of bonus material now, TK.
Yesterday, had a client said to me that they were interested in making an offer. They wanted to see the property, but they said, this is the one.
This is the one?
This is the one. Central Toronto, Kingsway area, listed for $2 million.
Central Toronto is Kingsway? I don't think that's the same thing.
It's in Toronto. It's in Toronto. It's not in Etobicoke. It's not in oh, that is part of Etobicoke.
That is Etobicoke.
Yeah. It's not Scarborough, North York, or like, one of the further out places.
Thank God.
So here's the story.
I'm listening.
They said, TK, we want to go see this property. Now, I was golfing. So I said, sure, when do you want to go? They said Saturday morning. I said, absolutely. I'll book a showing. So
Let's go.
I booked the showing. It's 2 days from now. Just got on the market. It's got to be available. I didn't get a confirmation, Darryl. I texted the agent. I called the agent. She never got back to me.
Oh, no. Bully offer?
And I got a very generic page through Broker Bay that said the property was sold firm. No more showings.
What? How long was it listed for before you got to it?
1 day they took an offer. 1 day in a great area like the Kingsway.
1 day.
1 day.
Over asking, under asking? Any idea?
I don't know yet. I don't know yet. I can try to look it up right now. But overall, when you think about it, maybe they could have got a little bit more money if my clients were interested in the property. Do you think that maybe somebody else's clients might have been interested in the property? No, it's still for sale.
I feel like your clients were not willing to go into a bidding war, though. Like, I feel like they were
pay
set
that price. Maybe other people were too, and that might create pressure, and they'd go a little bit more. The bottom
I feel like there's shenanigans at play.
That doesn't happen very often. I've been in the last few months, be kind of like with buyers, like, oh, you like that property? Great. Like, let's go look at it next week. It wasn't just being like sold from underneath us. I got another one on Monday with a client. This is in Dufferin and Bloor area. And, the property price is just under 2 million, and it's an offer date. And
that's a bad price point right now.
We're preparing to, see what kind of competition there is. It's a beautiful house.
What was the last comp?
No permits though when they did the work.
What kind of work? Work that needs permits.
That needs permits.
That cannot get permitted now.
That if it got permitted now,
need to rip shit apart and rebuild it.
Could be an issue. Yeah.
That's not good. That makes things very tricky. Lawyers do not like this.
Yes. Yeah.
Lawyers.
So these are the conversations that you got to have with the clients. Not easy.
Can I ask you, what was the nationality of the people that were doing this work without the permits, TK?
I don't want to say.
Were they?
What does it have to do with nationality, Darryl? Why do I have to single them out? You know who they were?
What? You don't have to.
They were Jewish people from Thornhill.
Well, I mean, this would make sense. There's no doubt.
I'm joking.
But I don't think that they would be out there in the Kingsway. That doesn't make sense.
But regardless, doesn't matter where they're from. Bottom line is, hey, there's action out there. There's activity. Most of my listings are sold. I even got this really weird commercial listing that's out of town that the guy had it on the market for like a year and a half. Then I've had it on the market for like 4 or 5 months. It's in a weird place. It's called Gore's Landing. And it's commercial on the main floor, residential on top. You got to get commercial financing. The zoning doesn't allow for you to do residential on both floors. You got to put commercial on the main floor, residential top. Population's like 600. So it's like, what kind of business are you really going to be running there? It's seasonal because you're near Rice Lake. So you just people going up there for the summer times, warmer months. You're going to have any real traffic.
Why are you spending time on this shit?
I like doing these type of things. I like the hard ones.
Hard ones.
It's a hard one. This is a hard one to sell. Oh yeah, needs a
special
eye like my own.
TK, you're so busy, okay, and you're talking all the time. Like, you're so busy, you can't breathe. You need to hire assistants, right? Okay. And now you're focusing on, like, how much is this stupid thing out? And where'd you say Bowman?
It's not about the price. It's not at Gore's Landing. It's not about the price. I don't care about the amount of money. It's a challenge, and the client's a great guy, and I want to help him. That's the bottom line.
This is crazy. TK, you're way too nice.
No
there's a thing called opportunity cost. No, you gotta weigh your opportunities.
I believe that if I'm
losing focus,
if my bandwidth gets stretched to its limits, then I just need to get some help, hire some help, which is what I do. I got lots of people helping me.
Well, TK, don't be like, what was his name?
Tom Story. or anything like that, guys. Don't get me wrong here. Okay.
Can you create a team within the team? Are you able to do that? Can you be the TK Butler team within the Frank Leo team?
That's all about me. I couldn't care about that.
So hold on a sec. But okay. So do you remember the story of my electrician, TK? I had this electrician and he was great. And this is,
I remember.
This is also, this is not just, this is anecdotal as well, but it's true as well, but it's very anecdotal.
Related to the topic?
Well, I mean, we just don't want you to, you're so great at what you do, TK. We don't want you to lose focus because you're busy dealing with stupid fucking deals out in God knows where. Guys who have to hire people, the service sometimes can suffer, right? Sometimes. I'm not saying it's going to with you, TK. I'm just saying. Well, I've got my eyes on you.
Anyways, I will continue to help the people who need help.
Where is this again?
That I can't help.
Where is
Gore's Landing.
Who?
Gore's Landing. It's like north of Coburg.
Where? Where's
on the way to Rice Lake.
Rice Lake? Like, are you making this stuff up? What is this shit?
Listen, this is a property that, you know what? The guy's a great guy. He's in a pickle. He's been trying to sell it for a year and a half, and he needs an expert.
Pickle. He bought land in where? Rice.
No, it's a property, but he's been trying to sell it for a year and a half, probably 3 years in total. But he had it on the market for 2 years on the market. He needs a specialist. They had to bring in the big guns. What am I supposed to do?
Bring in the big guns.
They had to bring in the city boy.
Rice Lake specialist.
They had to bring in the city boy. And
you need to get somebody from Alberta.
No way.
What do you mean? Maybe they have oil on the property.
Well, I'm not worried about that.
Where is it? Dover Court?
Darryl.
Are we ending here?
Today's episode
was brought to you by.
I think, an epic episode. I think we did really good. I think we'll get more organized on different parts to it, but I appreciate appreciate everybody listening and cheering us on every week. We're doing awesome.
Is there cheering going on? Do you feel like there's wind behind your sails on the show?
I get people cheering me on all the time, calling me, telling me how great I am and the partner that the other guy. It says
the other guy. The other guy. Yeah.
I said,
What's that guy? When are you gonna ditch that guy already? Jesus.
I never get that. You get that. I never get that.
I never get that, TK. You're the star of the show. What do you mean?
You always get that.
I never get that. I mean, the comment section may hint at it from time to time, but we don't really listen to those guys. Those guys are.
Sometimes we do. Try it. Also, guys, if you want to send us in a video,
scare me. I can't.
Like maybe you know something. Maybe you're like you got some information where you're like, they should have said that. Send us a video, 60 seconds or less. Otherwise, we're not even going to watch it.
Yeah, but 59
60 seconds or less. Send us the video in. Maybe we put you on the show and you'll have like a little correspondence. We'll do a little segment. We'll say from the armpits of the comments, fan 15 minutes of fame. And we'll have a segment that you can have a video on the show. So feel free to send that in if you want.
What a great idea. Let's go.
Thank you.
TK, always a pleasure.
Next week.
I don't know how long this was. Was it long enough, TK? It felt long enough to be
longer than normal.
Oh, good.
Good.